Good morning, all you deplorables, you reprobates, you misfits, you pathetics. Oh my God, what are you even doing here on a Sunday morning? It is a beautiful morning outside. I've got to get out of here. I've got lots to talk about. By the way, we've got some saving ideas for those people who are struggling with petrol and diesel. Well, we've got some great ideas which will save you some time and also save you some money. And we're also going to be having a look at some of my new girlfriends. I've got a couple of new girlfriends. Went out last night, had a bit of a tuntsy, bit of a dancey, and I videoed her as we were dancing. Plus, I also got one of my favourite girlfriends who's come back on. She just likes doing some stuff, which we're going to have a look at. And then, of course, my new girlfriend, which I think I would like your support in. I think she is the one for me. But the main story of the day, and I want you to smash that like button and hit everything that you can, because I stand with BRS, Ben Robert Smith. For those who haven't heard of this great man, we're going to be talking about him. I'm going to see if I can dissect it as much as I know. Big disclosure here, I am not a military person. I have never served in the Defence Forces. I have not been asked to serve for my country. And for those people who have served for their country, I stand with you and I thank you so much for your service. And if there's anyone here that has served and would like to make comment on this, I would love to hear your comment. But all I can say from the outset is that there are some ratters out there. And when this great man comes back from after serving 6 deployments, I think 1 in Timor and then 5 in Afghanistan, we have got to start asking ourselves, what is it with the left who just doesn't like brave men? So we're going to be talking a little bit about that, and I hope you can stay with me for the full 1 hour. If not, we might be here for 35 minutes because this thing will get shut down. But before we do, there are a few things that I must first disclose. I have started up a new gender identity for myself, and I know the LGBTQAI plus RSVP two-spirited fucking nutcases out there. But I have found my thing, and I would like you to support me in this. And if you could all just support me in this, please.
Deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2SLGBTQIA+. This is abhorrent.
It's abhorrent. It's abhorrent. So the so what it is, I can't even think of what it is, but it's the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. I think I said that right, or women and girls who are Indigenous. So now you can actually identify as a missing or a murdered woman or girl who's Indigenous, and that's me. That is me. I would like to identify from here on end. I am now going to be known as the murdered. I want to be the murdered woman Indigenous. I want to know MIW. That's it. From now on, I'm the murdered Indigenous woman. If you wouldn't mind, please, I'm going to put that on my LinkedIn profile as my pronoun, and I think it is important for you to respect that. And for that, I would like to know my pronouns will now be higher wather. I think that would be the best thing for me to do. I didn't even show the great man himself, which I think we must do. Raise your glasses for the great man himself. He's kicking along. The guy is still running. He's crawling. He's crawling to make sure that he can go and visit all of his mates up there, but everyone's pushing him back down. You're not going, buddy. There's more whiskey to be drunk. And so I would like you to raise your glass and cheers him with a cup of tea if it's early in the morning for you, or I don't know, whatever it is that you feel like that you should be drinking right now. I sent Spook a little clip. I can't show it on here. It is the funniest thing. It's an interviewer who says, take a drink first. It's an interviewer who says me and then doesn't do it. It's an interviewer who says, if there wasn't any water, what would you rather swim in? And I would like you to answer. And if you would like to stay, maybe at the end I might show it. Cheers, Rudy. You're a great man. That is the best brew. I'm drinking brew now. What's going on with me? Used to drink whiskey. Remember this is still called Waffles and Whiskey, and it is on a Sunday, and I have no idea why I'm drinking coffee. Coffee! It's got nothing else to show you. All right. Let's move you out the way. We'll see you at the end. Please say cheers, Rudy, to him at the end, if you wouldn't mind. And, of course, I always want to see who was last at the end. But I know what you want to do. You want to know was who was first. And Chef Billy Baru, who's got a crown and a number one. So he must be a number one supporter. And his comment was first. If you're going to be first, can you at least write a decent comment? Not just, I'm first. I'm first. We don't care. No one cares except you. You'll now go away and you'll show all your mates, oh, look at what I did. 7 people are watching and I was first. Ooh. We're not going to go any maps or anything, but I do need to show you some of these life-saving. These are life-saving ideas, and I think you should take these on board because petrol prices at the moment is pretty high. So here in Australia, for a litre, 1 litre, multiplied by 4 if you want gallons, but 1 litre of petrol here is around $2.40 for unleaded. If you want to sniff the other stuff, you can't get it here. So unleaded, about $2.40 per litre. Now for diesel, if you would like some Vin diesel, which I had to put in the other day, was $3.21 per litre. Now, whatever's going on, it's not going to get any better because the Strait of Hormuz, it takes those ships a very long time. Even when it starts, those tankers, when it starts, and they go, oh yeah, it's all running free now. It's going to take months for them to get to Singapore, and then we can scavenging it off Singapore so they can send it down to us. So you need these life-saving ideas. So you need to, life-saving or money-saving? Both. They are life-saving. This, what I'm about to show you, is a life-saving and money-saving idea. Please, tip number 1. This is something you can start to do this today. I have no idea why you're not even trying it now. First thing I would like you to do is get your little coffee cup when you're finished, and I would like you to put it into the latrine. Push that magic button, maybe the one on the left-hand side because that is water saving. Everything's saving is here today. Not on the right-hand side because that is not saving. You'll spend more money on water. Tip number 1. Tip number 2, I thought was a very good idea, is that what am I going to do when I buy myself a lot of beer and I have nowhere to store it because I would like to, I don't know, I like to go to bed drinking beer. So when I saw this tip, I thought this is the tip for me. I love my Pizzo beer. That's too funny. That is so true. He's all snuggled up. That could have been me. It could have. He's all snuggled up in his little bed, got his little doona on, and he just gets his beer. But here's the issue. A lot of people are going to be saying, but there's an issue there. What has he done with all the bottles? Well, this is where the important part comes in, is that what he or she or the MIW, which is me, Hiawatha, is he may have done something like this, which I think is a brilliant money-saving idea, but also I think it's comfort, because you know what Maslow's hierarchy of needs are. Bottom level, food, water, shelter, sex, sleep, laughter. I added a couple in there for entertainment value, but here is life-saving and money-saving idea just for you. That looks comfortable. You see, I think the only thing wrong with that is that he should have his bedside drawers next to him, and so when he's finished with his beer, he just adds to it. What a great idea. I think everyone here has great ideas. All right, so they're the only life-saving / money-saving ideas because fuel is expensive. So what are we going to do now when you have to go out with your new girlfriend? Because you're all going to get divorced at some stage. You will. Oh, I love my girlfriend. No, you don't. You're going to get divorced one day, or you are already divorced, or she died. And you're going to be, she died. That escalated quickly. And you're going to be single. And you're going to think, I've got to go on the dating sites. Well, look, There are so many beautiful women out there, and I would like to introduce you to some of them, 3 of them. But I think my number one is the girl that I went out with last night. She said, please don't put it up. Don't. You're going to upset me, and then we're going to have a fight. And I go, no. I want to put this. I sneakily took a video of her when we went out last night, and this is her. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. And you know what? She's playing up to me. She was playing up to... There's some moves in there, isn't there? I love that last one when she went in for the kill in like that. That is class. But after I finished with... Next! I thought it would be a good idea to pick someone who has a bit of a, fetish. I'm into fetishes. I don't know if you know that about me, but I'm a fetish sort of a guy. And I thought, what fetish would I like? And then I met Anissa. I think her name's Anissa. So Anissa, who's a beautiful little black lady. Am I allowed to say that? I think I want to show you her. So we need to listen in carefully because this is important. It's an important service announcement. Let's have a look at Anissa.
To smell of my dad's underwear. Most I can go without sniffing my dad's underwear. It would have to be maybe 25 minutes, and then I start to not feel normal.
25
This story is going to hit different. 29-year-old hairstylist Anissa grew up with her father after her parents divorced when she was 9, and that instability left her carrying a deep sense of anxiety from a very young age. Then one day, at 14, she accidentally caught a whiff of her father's worn underwear.
Accidentally?
And something about that scent
How do you
instantly calmed her
accidentally?
down. That one moment turned into 15 years. She began secretly collecting her father's underwear, hiding them in different spots around the house, and even tying them to her face while she was at work. If she went more than 10 minutes without it, the anxiety would creep right back in.
Poor
Her
girl.
ex-boyfriend's clothes never had the same effect.
Oh.
That specific scent had become her go-to
Wait till
coping
she meets
mechanism,
me.
the one thing that took the edge off. She never had the courage to tell her dad, and only her sister and one close friend knew the truth. To avoid getting caught, she would quietly buy her father new underwear to replace what she'd taken. For over a decade, the weight of that secret was suffocating.
The weight.
With encouragement from her best friend, Anissa finally decided to come clean to her father. He was stunned and confused, and felt that his daughter's behavior was something she needed professional help for.
Really? Really? So he, in his wisdom, thought she needed professional help. I should have kept the video running because after that, he said that he then encouraged it because it was her mental illness. He encouraged it. So I was like, Anissa, it's Friday. Just come home from work. Salt mines. I know it's pretty tough down there. Oh, yeah, I know. Those days when I was working in a pub, a little bit different, but I'm working in the salt mine now. And I think it's important that you go and sniff my underwear. So just go over to the basket over there. And if you wouldn't mind, maybe just buying me a new pair every now and then without the formaldehyde. Anissa. Who gives... What's with the black women's names? Like, Anissa, Shaniqua, Faniqua, Thanos. Stoney says one day she's going to end up with a brown nose. I think she may have already got it. Sounds like she's on the wrong crack. Just when you think it couldn't get any lower. No, that's not low. I reckon she could go down further. Yes, Chiquita. Give me your best black woman's name. Shaniqua, Anissa, Chiquita. They all end in They do. Lisa, Moira, Shirley. Where was I going to go now? Oh, my favourite girlfriend. So I have a girlfriend and she's been around for a very long time. I don't know what it is about this girl. I think it's how tough she is. I think she's Texan. To me, I think she's Texan. If you want to make out that she's something, Kamala, woman. If you think she's something else but Texan, she could be from Arkansas. I have no idea. Veruca. Let's have a look at my new girlfriend, and I would like you to support me. support me in my quest to making sure that she is my girl forever. Can I introduce to you, what's the name? Chlamydia. Here, that was the last one that came up. Here is chlamydia. Texan? Do you think Texan? Come on, hit me with something else. She's got to be something apart from, she's not from Arkansas. I don't think, maybe from Oklahoma. Hey, Hadley Mountain? Maybe. Nice to see some people got rid of their numbers at the end of their names. Good for you. Don't forget, smash that like button. Chlamydia. Yeah, that was the funny one. Chopita? I need Texican. Texican. Not going to judge. I think she is. I don't know where she's from. Philadelphia, you reckon? You reckon she's Philadelphia? Aussie 1970 says, G-Man will never be late again. True. I think chlamydia, I think she's the girl. She's that kind of is a bit of, I don't know, rough play. I don't know. I like fights. There are some people out there that just go, all you do is fight. I like a good fight. Nothing better than fight. In fact, I thought I had one about 8 o'clock last night, but it didn't happen. She's a keeper. Otherwise, you're dead. True. Maybe, Texican says, maybe with the fart. I'm not too sure. Hang on. Dogwash says, my ex-wife, I recognize the mask. Feisty is good. It is. Somebody I saw earlier on had written, what the hell, or what is BRS? That's Ben Robert Smith. And so we're going to go and have a look at a little bit about Ben Robert Smith. It won't take us too long. I want to go into it slow. There's a couple of video clips I want to show. We've got the fun bit out of the way, so I think it's now time that we get into the rant, because I think this is important for us to at least open up and to discuss. So let me just jump over to the rant over here. So who is this man here? This man stands at a wonderful 185 to 187 centimeters tall. His name is Ben Robert Smith. He served in the Afghan conflict in 2004 to 2009, or was it 2009 to 2000? No, 2004 to 2009, and he did 6 deployments over there. Now, just that in itself, to do 6 deployments, is something that I think, hand on heart, is not anything a lot of weak men will do. So we only need the best and the brightest, and we need men of bravery. When this man returned, he received the highest award, the Victoria Cross, that any Australian has ever received. And for that, the man has now had his life shattered beyond absolute belief. So let's have a look at why and what had happened. So this has just happened recently within the last 2 weeks. Ben Robert Smith has been arrested. Australia's most decorated soldier taken into custody over multiple alleged killings. Now, this whole story and the story that therein follows is all going to be alleged, and it's all going to be IMO, in my opinion. So if you are going to write something on here, especially when you go back into the comments, I know the chat will disappear, but if you wouldn't mind just putting in IMO next to your comment, which is in your opinion, I don't want any harm coming towards you, because these are all opinion pieces. So for me, in my opinion, what has happened to this man is an absolute travesty. And you would just think, while this is coming out, that he would have at least military personnel support him. And he did go and sue some of the media for defamation in an earlier case. He did lose that, but we're going to have a look at maybe what wrapped around all of that. So when this came out, you would think there would be an outcry of people going, how did this happen? Why is the most decorated man in Australian history, why is he now under arrest? Now, I understand that there are some what they call ROEs, rules of engagement. And I know that war is sanctioned murder. So there is unsanctioned murder, which is if I go next door and, Scotty, I don't like you anymore, and pop him out, that it wasn't sanctioned, unless you give me the authority to do that, then I think it's all open fire. So this here, at a conflict where you are sent overseas to defend not only your country, but to rid the Taliban of their heinous crimes, I think we got to start now thinking they did their job. No one joins the SAS. So this is the SAS, the Special Air Services, and he was in the SASR, which is the Special Air Service Regiment. He served in there, like I said, for 5 deployments over there. And what comes back is, as soon as he comes back and this headline goes up, we then have this pathetic senator say, from David Shoebridge, he says, good. And you would think that there are some reasonable people who would acknowledge that the bravery of what this man had done would be something to uphold. So let me just give you the heads up while I just show you this next photo of him. So this is him in his service there. Let me just give you maybe a bit of a background, and I had to write some notes down here. In his last defamation case, 42 people testified. And of those 42 people who testified, I was interested to know, well, that's a lot. There's a defamation case going on. 42 people stood in front of the court, and it was like, here's their testimony. Of the 42, let's make this very simple for me to understand, because I'm a simple person with a very small brain. Of the 42, 22 were soldiers. So where did the rest come from? 22 were soldiers, so we can now take that away from the sums. Of that, 3 of those who testified, not the 22, but 3 of those who testified of the 42 were Afghan soldiers. Of course, there is a war going on, and of course, you're going to get the enemy to testify against him. That in itself doesn't make any sense. And we're going to have a look at a clip from 60 Minutes. Oh, most trusted industry in the world is the mainstream media. We're going to have a look at what the Afghan soldier had said, and how would that even be a credible statement that stands up against court. So of the 22 people, soldiers who testified at the Ben Roberts case, only 4 were against him. The rest supported him. They supported him in a way that showed that the man took on his role as the chief, as the head of the SAS, and followed the men. So what we'll see is that it is alleged that he had this great man here, who had served for our country. It is alleged that on some hilltop, he kicked an Afghan civilian off a cliff. He didn't die, and then he ordered one of his men to shoot. That's what the alleged is. Now, in this case here, the little that I know about the court system and the little I know about the murder is that, well, firstly, don't you need a body? You would need a body. You would also need a crime scene. Both of those things we don't have. And do you know why? Because it is anywhere between 14 to 17 years later. This happened 17 years ago, and now it's coming to the case. So you've got to start thinking, why and for what reason is it a distraction of what's happening in our Straits of Hormuz? So when you look at this man here who's doing his job, where he's been asked to go and to protect our country, our livelihoods, and to rid evil people. So why is this upsetting me a little bit too much? Because I think when you have a man like this who comes back from Afghanistan, who then gets an audience with the Queen, and the man's a mountain. In fact, I think I've tried to find it, but when the man came back, when BRS came back from Afghanistan, the news media went wild about, oh my God, you can leave his shoes under my bed. Oh, wouldn't you like 1 minute with him? Oh, isn't he just fantastic? Oh, that is now a man. And then 17 years later, because of one person, I'm going to show you who that person is, who ratted on him, alleged. Everything is alleged and everything is in my opinion here. But the people who ratted on him in a conflict is just abhorrent. And so he had an audience with the Queen. Absolutely beautiful. great moment. This is something that you should be proud of. He also had an audience with the then Governor General, Quentin Bryce. So if you have a look, she's obviously standing on a podium there. She's not 6'5". There she is handing him another wonderful medal for his bravery and for his service. So where did it all fall down? Well, you then get this person here, Andrew Hastie. So Andrew Hastie, I think, is now the Minister for Defence, the Shadow Minister for Defence. He said he served with BRS. And now, if you sort of like kind of think, you've got a whole regiment of men, you're fighting in a conflict, your goal is to engage in war, your goal is to rid the Taliban, and your goal is to rid them of their evilness. So you go to Afghanistan and you do your job. The man comes back, BRS comes back, and he is hailed a hero. And of course, he also mentioned that if it wasn't for his team, his brave team of men who supported him in the act, he wouldn't be standing there to receive the Victoria Cross. So this man here, I think there's an edge of maybe jealousy or envy. Why didn't the rest of the boys get it? Why was it only him? Why didn't we all get the Victoria Cross? So this man ratted out his good mate and said, oh, okay, how do I advance my career now? I'll become foreign minister. And now here we are 17 years later. This man here thinks he can undermine the process that goes on. So if we have a look then, I have got some video footage of him speaking, but this is the culmination of what happened. So a few weeks ago, Ben Roberts-Smith comes off a flight, and look, they blurred his face as if we don't know. And for those people in Australia, you know exactly who this person is. The question that a lot of people are asking was, how did the AFP, the Australian Federal Police, along with the Office of Special Information of Services, OSI, how did the AFP and OSI, how did they somehow leak the information to the media so the media could stand in front of the aeroplane as it landed, where he was then arrested in front of his kids? This could have been done a hell of a lot differently, but this is a spectacle. This is exactly what the left want. And then I have a look at those poor AFP personnel standing there who are thinking, I have to do my job. I wonder if they're actually thinking, what are we doing here? Why am I arresting a man who's a Victoria Cross recipient? So here he is and has now been escorted. He's now sitting in Silverwater Jail, which is a horrible jail in New South Wales, in Sydney, just outside of Sydney. He's now sitting in there awaiting trial. Now, will there be a determination of bail? Well, that's the question. Will he be bailed? I see your comments are going off, and I want to get to them in a moment. I won't have time right now to read them. I just want to concentrate on why I stand with Ben Roberts-Smith, because the man himself deserves a lot more and doesn't deserve to be humiliated in front of his kids as well as his family. So let's now have a listen to the 60-minute program that was aired. This is a while ago, and this is probably about 10 years ago, and I think the guy's name, the reporter, and maybe you can correct me on this, the reporter is Nick McCullum. Now, there is a person who's going after a witch hunt. I just don't understand as a reporter why you would want to do this to your own fellow Australian man. Like, do it somewhere else. But we're going to have a look at the report. I will pause it in a way because there is a portion in this interview that I just think doesn't sit well with me. And maybe you can pick it too. So let's have a look at the 60-minute report and see what comes of that.
Take me back to that day. How did you realise there was a raid taking place?
The soldiers landed in helicopters. They were searching the houses, and we saw them climb over the roofs.
On that day in 2012, SAS soldiers descended on the village of Darwan, hunting for a rogue Taliban operative who'd killed 3 Australian troops. Tensions were high as they went compound to compound, interrogating villagers.
They were asking the same question from everyone. They asked them, "Are you Taliban?" They would say, "No, we're not Taliban."
Just let me pause it there. This part here, this is clearly a paid interview. The guy here who would be, what is he, 30? He's 30 now when he would have been 20. And so you're saying to me that at that time there, you get the SAS knocking on doors and just going, "Are you Taliban?" "No." "Are you Taliban?" "Oh, no." So they really asked that question. Look, we're not that stupid. Do they think we are that stupid? "Oh, we're going to do a drug raid. I'll just knock on the door. Hey, any cocaine in this place?" "No, bro. No cocaine in here." "Oh, I see those lovely little, those rifles that you got up there. You got any guns or weapons in here?" No, nothing here." It's like a Monty Python skit. Anyway, that was one part of my little grant. Let's have a look further, because there's then something else that you would think that just doesn't make sense.
Was there one particular soldier that seemed to be leading the operation?
Yeah, like that's not a loaded question. Hey, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, of all the people that were there, of all the men that served there, of the 40 to 50 men that served there in that regiment right there, I'm going to ask you, 10 years ago, was there one particular one that actually stood out? Yeah, it was the one with blue hair. No, it was the one with the long hair. Yeah, no, it was one. If this isn't a loaded question, which is then I'm going to hand you 100 whatever nationality dinas or ramas that you have in your dollar cents. Was there one particular person? Give me money. I will tell you which one it is. And what do you think he says? Oh, let's have a look. Any guesses to which one he's going to point out?
Yes, he was a huge soldier and he had a nose like this. He had blue eyes. He was huge.
Blue eyes. Do you remember the photo I showed you earlier where they're not wearing, well, they're wearing all their armory? They're wearing their glasses. Of course, no, but he had blue eyes because he took them off and he just went, "Hey, everyone, how you going? Firstly, can I ask you, welcome. Wonderful countryside that you've got here. Do you have any weapons in here? No. Are you Taliban? No. Just, what do you think of my lovely blue eyes?" They obviously think we're stupid. But people bought into this. Be quiet. Oh no.
Take me back to that day. Tensions were...
Hang on.
They asked them, "Are you Taliban?"
We'll go from here.
They would say, "No, we're not Taliban."
Of course you're not.
Was there one particular soldier that seemed to be leading the operation?
Yes, he was a huge soldier and he had a nose like this. He had blue eyes. He was huge.
He was huge. Oh, so it finished. So I was right. So what have I got there? Oh, so now we're going to have a look at Andrew Hayes. So from that, let me just bring up Ben Roberts-Smith again so we can have a look at the man himself. So from that, look, I couldn't even tell you if he had blue eyes. Even that's from a distance. Like, it doesn't even look like he's got... the whole thing just... I don't know. I'm just amazed. I'm amazed that we're at this point. I'm amazed that we're at this point of our lives that there are going to be future soldiers who would want to go and defend Australia. They're not going to now. There's going to be so much forensics. There's going to be so much body-worn camera. There's going to be so many people out there who you'll be looking around going, which one of these boys or girls or MIWs is going to be ratting me out? That's what they'll be thinking. I don't think there's a future anymore for our defence forces. Lay down. Just give up. Or stand up and fight for your country and don't rat on your mates. I've had enough of this place. I should go away. I should go and enjoy my life. Why am I even here? So let's have a look at this Andrew Hastie. This is what he said. This is, don't forget,
Thanks,
hit
Andrew.
pause.
It was a combination of sadness and relief. Sadness for the Afghan lives lost and the families who are hurt. Sadness for the relationships severed, and sadness for the reputations destroyed, both individually and at the institutional level with the SASR particularly. Relief, though, that the cold, hard truth that many at the regiment have been carrying inside them for many years is now out in the public domain, and it has been validated by a federal court justice.
Oh, so I wonder what Andrew's role was. What was your role, mate? What were you doing? When you have a listen to this, it's almost laughable. I had to go back and replay it, and I'm going to replay it again for you in the next video. And I just thought, that's it? That was your role? Let's have a look at what his role was.
I spent long hours underwater at a depth of 4 to 6 metres by night in sharky waters, diving with them where a mistake can cost your life. And
46 metres. 46 metres. Oh, hang on.
I spent long hours underwater at a depth of 4 to 6 metres.
4 to 6 metres. So my ceiling here would be 4 metres. The ceiling, I think, in my living room would be 6 metres. So, yeah, that's a depth. You spent time and time again underwater. Oh, in sharky did he say sharky or shark?
By night in sharky waters.
In sharky waters. What are you, mate? 4? Well, the way that you present yourself is that you're weak, you're pathetic, and you have no role in the Australian government at all. To be ratting out on you, mate, how could you do that? How could you alleged? This is all alleged, and this is in my opinion. How could you do that to a mate of yours? Why would you do that? What benefit is that going to serve you or the public? What is the benefit of you saying this to our wonderful people? You can go, you know what I'm like. I get riled up. And that's why I don't drink anymore. Well, I do, but not going to anymore. So, from all this, what then came out? So let's have a look of what came out. So we then have our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, more familiar term is anal, who comes out and says this after a reporter asked a very simple question, and all he had to do was answer in a correct manner. I'm going to have a look at other people, how they responded. But this is our Prime Minister. I have no intention, now I'll do it in his voice. I have no intention of prejudicing a matter that clearly is a legal matter, and that is before the courts, and any comments would do so. The man is a pathetic dweeb. He goes on to say, I have no intention of commenting on this matter that's clearly before the court. So every question that was asked of him, he just didn't want to make a comment. He could make a comment. So let's go to a former Prime Minister of the Liberal Party. So here in Australia, we have the Labor Party, which is what Albanese stands for, which is, if you are in the US, that is your Democrat. So now let's have a look at a Republican, which is our Liberal, former Prime Minister, Tony Abbott. He says, still, it's wrong to judge the actions of men in mortal combat by the standards of ordinary civilian life. Absolutely. What happens here in civilian life and what happens on the war grounds is totally different. And for us to sit back, or that Nick McCullum to go over there, who has never been in the art of combat, who has never negotiated with anyone, decides to bring down the Australian Defence Force. So this is what he says. Great comment. He also says, if Ben Roberts-Smith transgressed, well, why wasn't this picked up prior to his gallantry awards, and why wasn't any culture of brutality towards prisoners detected by his more senior officers and dealt with quickly rather than being allowed to fester, as has been alleged for over a decade? See, Tony's a smart man. So why has this festered for so long? Why was he given the award and now wants to bring him down, because that's the way the tall poppy syndrome works. What we do is that we raise our people up, we give them the great awards. This is what happens in Australia here. And as soon as they become great, as soon as they become a person of notoriety, as soon as they deserve the award, there is also the weak left who will decide to just cut them down and bring them down to shreds. You've seen it all around the world. The left is a cult. It is a horrible, horrible cult, and we need to remove them and never have them in power ever again, because they will demoralize your society. They are not interested in your country. They are not interested in you. They are just interested in themselves. He goes on to say, of course, there are rules that have to be observed and enforced, even against soldiers in times of war. That's what's called the rules of engagement. And then we have this wonderful woman, Pauline Hanson, who comes out and she says, I remain steadfast in my support of Ben Roberts-Smith. And so when she said that, now all the T-shirts is coming out and now all the rhetoric is coming out. And I know I'm late to the game on this here, but I just wanted to let you know that I support Ben Roberts-Smith. The man is allowing me to do what I'm allowed to do here today because he defended our country. Otherwise, we'd be overrun by the Taliban. She also goes on to say, Ben and his immediate and broader defence family need the Australian people's support right now, and I will not abandon him like so many other politicians. And if you have a look at all the politicians, so many of them, they are abandoning him. At first, they revered him. They gave him the Gallantry Award of the Victoria Cross, and now all they want to do is just slam him down and throw him like he's a piece of garbage. And now we're going to go to one other woman, this woman here, Gina Rinehart. If you don't know who Gina Rinehart is, she is the daughter of Lang Hancock, who was the iron ore magnate over in Western Australia. He's an absolute billionaire and she's an absolute billionaire. So, and I'll tell you a little bit of background. There's a bit of up story on this one here. And I love this woman here. I love her for what she stands for. She said, surely the more than 300 million of taxpayer money would have been far better spent strengthening Australia's security and keeping Australians safe from terrorism. Smart woman. She goes on to say, including removing terrorists and their supporters from our country. You would think that money, that $300 million could be spent a hell of a lot better. And that is only just now. How much money did they spend when they took him to court or when he lost his appeal for defamation? But look, on a separate note, why do I like this woman so much? Well, let's have a look at this Indigenous woman here. I don't know if she's a missing or a murdered woman or girl, but this woman here, her name is Donnell, I've wrote it down, Wallam. Donnell Wallam. Her name is Donnell Wallam. I don't know what tribe she is from, but let me give you the heads up. This woman thought that she could bring down Gina Rinehart. So Gina Rinehart, in her heart of hearts, had thought, you know what I'll do is I like netball. I'm going to support the Australian netball team. I'll support them of $15 million. And so she had her logo printed all over. I think I can't see, her logo, Gina Rinehart's company logo is not on them. And she said, well, that's what brings this brand. We'll get the women and we'll have our logo printed all over their shirts and that'll be great for us. This woman here thought, no, I'm going to make a stand. We're all going to support each other and we're going to take off our shirts, put on other shirts, but we are not going to present the logo for this woman who employs a hell of a lot of Indigenous people, by the way, and also coaches them and trains them and also has them as supervisors and superintendents and also as managers. Gina Rinehart has a lot of Indigenous people working in Western Australia. For those who don't want to work, she doesn't care too much about it. So this one here, Donnell, says, we're not going to wear the T-shirt anymore. We are making a stand. So the whole netball team said, yeah, we stand with you, Donnell. You're a wonderful woman because you're Indigenous. Took all their shirts off. One day later, maybe not even a day, I think maybe 12 hours later, Gina Rinehart said, all right, I'm cool with that. I'm good with that. You don't have to wear my shirts. I'm going to pull the $15 million. She pulled the sponsorship of $15 million because this woman here, again, poor me, reparations, you owe us, said, we're not going to wear your shirts. Gina said, fine by me. Don't wear them. I don't care. See ya. But I'm taking my money back. Took the money back. Happy days. Oh, that's her. So now I want to bring you to one last thing that I think is really important here. There is a guy that I've been following. His name's James Gleeson. I'm just going to hold it and pause it there. So this guy here, James Gleeson, I think you'll find him on a podcast somewhere on YouTube. I might put it in the link. But this guy, he's my new go-to guy. Why? Because he's an ex-police officer. He's also a prosecutor, and now he's I think, I don't know, he's an ex-police officer. I think he then prosecutes. You'll find out. But what I like, he's an ex-police officer, and now he's in law. And so he now dissects and disseminates the difference between what's real and what's not real, why things happen, especially here in Australia. But he does make a point about the difference between what happens in America, where you have the right in America for your freedom of speech. What you don't have the right to do is to collude with your FBI to say, hey, we've got a story that's going to be happening over here. We want to get you to get your cameras over. So you can't do that. We do. We can have the AFP and the Office of Special Investigations. They can call, make a little leak and go, hey, Channel 9, we're going to be arresting Ben Roberts-Smith. How about you make your way down here? But of course, the AFP and the OSI, they've said we vehemently deny that any of this has happened. But they turned up. We saw the footage. We saw them. We saw that they arrested Ben Roberts-Smith in front of his children. Let's have a listen to what James says, and you should go and follow him. Good man.
The moment a camera is present at an arrest, the case has changed. Not in the courtroom. The courtroom hasn't even opened yet, but in the court of public opinion. Now, before you type it, I know it's coming. James, the public has a right to know. Transparency matters, and you're right to a point. I'm going to show you exactly where that point is, using the agency's own policy documents. Not my opinion, their words. Australia doesn't have a specific body of case law dealing with staged arrest media events. We just don't. Not one that I can find anyway. But the United States does. Because we share a common law foundation, the same bedrock legal principles, what their courts decided is the closest thing that we have to a benchmark. And what it reveals about Australia is not flattering. The US Supreme Court, their version of our High Court, held that massive, pervasive and prejudicial publicity can make a fair trial impossible. That trials must be decided on the evidence in open court, not on what the public has already decided at a press conference. And specifically on the question of staged arrest footage, US courts drew a clear distinction. If a person is being genuinely transferred from custody and cameras happen to be present, that's lawful, it's operational. But if police call the media, arrange the cameras and stage the event specifically to generate footage for public distribution, the US courts found that that crossed a line. No legitimate law enforcement purpose. Its only function, they determined, is humiliation. By design, by policy. What you are watching when you see a police press conference after a high-profile arrest. You are watching a managed communications event, legally screened, strategically timed, with footage prepared for distribution. You are watching trial number 2 first. Whether trial number 1 ever catches up, that's a completely separate question.
Interesting. Alpha says, strange how it still happens in the US though. Yeah, but I think the consequences are a lot more severe in the US than what they are over here. And you're right, Aussie 1970, this is, the whole thing is, it's going to be trial by TV. And that's what it is. The public, the opinions of the public have already been determined. People are already talking about this. But if we know what the real stories are and we know exactly what had happened, and none of us were there, you weren't there, I wasn't there, and I think somehow there has to be a little bit of calm somewhere to go, okay, we will do a forensic report on this, or we should just shut up, get on with our lives, and let these men who had served for their country be honoured. We have Anzac Day coming up on the 25th of this month. 25th of April, we have Anzac Day, the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. We are going to be celebrating our wonderful veterans for the hard work that they had done during the wartime. So now we don't have anyone from World War I that will be representing, or from World War II. So we still have all the other wars, Vietnam War, the war in Afghanistan, the war in Timor, So we have all those wars which our veterans will be attending. There has been some talk that the media would like to go to the Australian War Memorial, where Ben Roberts-Smith has his uniform and where he has his medals on display at the museum in Canberra. There has been talk that they would like that taken down. And the people within the in the services, the veterans, had said, no way, we're not taking that down. And that's where I think the stand should be. The veterans make the call. The veterans are the people who support their own. And I think we need to be able to ensure that it stays that way. That's all I really have to talk about today. I just wanted to get all that off my chest. Don't forget, smash that like button. I will see you next week. Same time, same bat channel. And if you can, cheers the great man himself. And we will have a look at least to see who was last. Read your comments, and please leave me a comment after this. Tell me what your thoughts are, because I didn't have a chance to read all this, and I won't once I hit the end. Good night. Say bye.
The things that make you happy, go do those things. Like right now. What are you waiting for? Go!